we're not learning from each other, what are we doing? Hey you guys, today is Saturday, and if you've been around here for a little bit, you know that Saturday is when I do a lot of my gardening chores. I'm going to be doing a lot of different things today. I was gifted some blueberry cuttings, if you will. They're really bare root. My neighbor pulled them out of the ground from her blueberry plant, and I'm going to be potting those up today. I'm also going to be watering the green stalk. I'm going to be starting some seeds, and I'm going to be separating out my tomato plants today. So I planted my tomato seeds different this year, and I've started one variety in one cup, and I put several seeds. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 18 seedlings in this cup that I'm gonna tease the roots out and pot these in their individual cup. Lots going on today, and I thought I would bring you with me to show you some of my work. And I talked to a farmer today, and he told me that I need to get these out of water. They should have really only been in water for about 20 minutes. So they've only been in here for a couple days, so I'm hoping I didn't do anything detrimental to them. But I'm gonna prune these down so that the length of the root system is the same length of the stem, because that way when the plant starts to grow again, it's not gonna be sending extra energy out to fill out all these leaves on these branches. It's gonna work on the root development too. So these are gonna go into containers. So that bucket of water that I just had the blueberries in will be perfect for watering the green stalk. One thing I'll say that hasn't really been optimal, I mentioned in a past video that I don't plan to keep this green stalk garden planter in the sunroom forever. I only brought it in here to start some seeds in. So I direct sowed some carrots, lettuce, basil, radishes, arugula, cilantro, and Swiss chard into this. Everything is germinated. I did also do celery. It did not germinate, but that's okay because I started some seedlings in cups that I'm going to transplant into this. But I'm only keeping this here until the weather is ready for everything I just said to come outside. Carrots could go outside now, radishes could go outside now, maybe the Swiss chard, but the lettuce, it's not quite time for it to go out. I also have 10 strawberry plants in this. So when I water, the kind of downside, there's a tube on the bottom of the green stalk that it actually comes with it for runoff. So once this is outside in my garden bed, I may not even need that. But I think the purpose of this is if you put a green stalk like on your patio or your back porch and you wanted to divert the water away, you could use it. So when I water inside the sunroom, I do have to push it over to the door. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, it's just one extra thing and not something that I really thought through when I decided to bring it here. So sometimes my husband brings things home and I'm like, what do we need that for? And then I use it a few times and I see why. But this side-by-side has been the biggest blessing because I just drove around to my car and got some stuff out of the trunk that I had purchased. And I thought I'd show you. So the blueberry cuttings that I got, I just so happened to gotten 3 of those. And I know that deer will mess with them. We don't have a fenced-in spot for them just yet. So I thought I would put them in a container first. A, so they're mobile, and B, because I'm not really sure where I want to put them in the ground. And Costco had a 3-pack of just resin pots, and they're decent size. So I was like, you know, that was meant to be. Also, I'm going to be making a flower bed, a perimeter around the garden fences. And these aren't flowers that we will eat. They're just for pollination and decoration and whatnot. So this Organic Choice Miracle Grow, which I would not personally use in my garden beds, but this 50-pound bag, 50 quarts, was on sale yesterday for $7, I think, at Costco. So I'm probably going to go back and get another one. Just thought I would share that with you in case you have a Costco in your area. But the other thing that I snagged from one of our sheds is a kiddie pool. So I'm going to be using this kiddie pool to mix my soil. So I picked up another bag of peat moss today because I was out of that. So I will mix 50% peat moss and 50% potting soil for the blueberries. And then when I transplant my tomatoes here in a bit, I'm gonna also do a mixture of peat moss and potting soil. I won't quite do 50-50 for that. Things you find in the back of the Ranger. Random deer antlers in the back. I keep saying that I'm gonna get one of those like cheap silicone wedding bands because I rarely wear gloves out here, and I have a pretty nice diamond that my husband picked out for me. Thank you, babe. When we got married, and I was telling the girls the other day that I should probably stop wearing it when I'm out here working, but I just realized that when I looked down that I should probably look into finding a band. Our anniversary's coming up, so babe, if you're watching this, maybe you should get me one. One thing I should probably mention is that blueberries like really acidic soil. So I am doing 50% peat moss, 50% potting soil. Planted this tray of peppers here back on February 13th. So that would have been 3 weeks ago. And I found out that if you save seeds, it's not quite as simple as you might think. I saved seeds from banana peppers that a friend gave me, never germinated. And I found out that that's because with some fruits, so peppers and cucumbers for sure, you want to wait until the very end of the life cycle, so like full ripeness. So the banana peppers really should have turned red when I harvested the seeds, because the seeds aren't yet fully developed and ready to be planted. I had no idea. So I am literally just putting new banana pepper seeds right on top of the original container where I planted the old ones. I do 2 per container just in case one doesn't germinate. But yeah, I didn't know that. So, because I saved a bunch of seeds and I thought, oh, you know, did I do something wrong? And no, apparently the age of the seed inside matters. So if it's not ready or fully mature, I should say, then shouldn't save it, shouldn't plant it. But if we're not learning from each other, what are we doing? So I think one of my favorite parts about gardening is there's such a mentality of giving and stewardship, and pay it forward. You know, most of what I'm doing, I saw someone else do first, and it seemed to work for them. And so, you know, I learn a lot in my life from watching what other people do and seeing if they're successful and going from there. So you know, maybe you do too, maybe you don't. But one of the tips that I found, you know, YouTube's a wonderful thing. You can really learn how to do anything here. And one of the tips that I learned was from Jessica over at Roots and Refuge Farm. If you don't follow her, she is like a decade ahead of me in this, but man, just a wealth of information. I love her content and her channel. But she was the one that suggested planting all of your tomato seed variety. Or this is one variety. This is HUGH'S yellow tomato, but and now I already lost count because I counted. I think there's 12 in here, but 12 seeds germinated. So I'm going to separate these out into 12 pots. And one thing that she always encourages, and I love organization, but go ahead and prepare your tags in advance and get your cups ready. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just writing on these tags the name of the variety. I'll go ahead and fill up my cup with soil. I'd never grown yellow tomatoes before. I'm actually doing 11 varieties of tomatoes this year. I have a very dear friend whose mother recently passed away, and one of the things that they did together was start seeds. And so, one of the things I felt like I could offer was to do that for her. So she brought me over some seeds of some things that she wanted to grow, and I was like, well, I'll start them for you. And so this variety was one of those. And yellow tomatoes, from my understanding, have a totally different flavor profile than other tomatoes. I believe it has to do with the sugar content, and it's less acid, more sugar, so it's not going to taste like a red tomato. I'm really excited to make peach salsa with this, and for my local friends, yes, I will be selling off lots of these extra varieties. By the way, if you're watching this and you also sell seedlings, I am really struggling to know with how much is a reasonable price. My heart is to give this stuff away, which I do that all the time too. But you know, I do have some costs in the seed. Is a minimal cost, but the potting soil, I don't cut any corners on that. So I use really good quality soil. The seed containers are great quality and can be used year after year, the time and all of that. So what are you charging? If you would leave in the comments and let me know what you think is reasonable for a single plant and a 6-pack, that would be helpful. Not a 6-pack of beer. I'm talking about a 6-pack of seeds, you guys. So we got those 12 tags done. Now here comes the true test to see if I can do this as well as Jessica does. So what I did notice that she did was took out the whole plant. So one of the other things that I learned from her is that a couple things actually, using potting soil for your seed start rather than buying seed starting mixture. So that's what I've opted to do this year. And also to use a kiddie pool for mixing up your potting mix. So this is just one bag of Happy Frog from Fox Farm. And then it's probably, I don't know, 25% peat moss, which is actually behind me. A couple handfuls of perlite just for some extra drainage. So we are carefully Now, one thing I will say, these were recently watered, which probably wasn't wise because these are super soggy on the bottom. I'm gonna take my finger, I took my index finger and did a hole all the way down. I'm gonna carefully pluck out this whole plant here. I'll show you on the next one, but I just put my finger in there and shoved it in. Tomatoes, per my YouTube friend Jessica, are really forgiving with this kind of process. So I hope that this is going to work out. It's okay with tomatoes to bury a lot of that stem. You actually do that when you're planting too. Planting in the garden. You can bury like 3/4 of it. That is a-okay. I just dumped it all here, and so as I get these out one at a time, I'm just sort of gently teasing out the roots, and I Just felt a snap on that one, so I hope that wasn't bad. This is really difficult to do with one hand, by the way. This is precisely why I can justify charging money, because this takes a long time, y'all. Surely it's worth $2 a plant, right? Hey, buddy. This is Steve. Some of y'all may have met him on previous videos. Nobody. So next we're gonna do Matt's wild cherry tomatoes, and let's count and see how many we have. By the way, when I'm separating these roots out, I'm not just yanking them. I'm being really careful to just sort of tease the roots apart very gently. This exposure for these seedlings to the outside elements is actually a really good thing, because hardening off is something that you have to do before you can transplant seedlings outside. So on nice sunny days like this, especially where the wind is blowing, it's actually a good idea to bring them out here for a little bit. I wouldn't leave them out here overnight, or the temperature is going to drop or anything crazy like that. But for me to be out here for a few hours with them is actually not bad. I've heard of people literally going in to their greenhouse or sunroom like I have, or wherever their seeds might be started indoors, and just waving their hand over top of their seedlings to create like a fake breeze. So if you don't do things like that and you don't harden your plants off, they're going to go into shock when they go outside. So I think it's good for these little ladies to have some exposure to the elements today. This variety that I'm potting up now is called Sweet Pea Currant. It was a variety I got from Seed Savers when I first started my garden back in 2021. And I was really just enamored by how cute it was. It wasn't any kind of tomato I had ever seen in the store. And they were precious, like as small as my pinky fingernail. But I'll tell you what, harvesting these is a pain in the butt because it just takes so long. The plant gets really bushy. A lot of days it kind of stole my joy to have to even go out and mess with them. I hate to say that, but it's true. Here I am transplanting 12 of these seedlings. I'll sell some and give some away. I have family members that really like this variety. You know, I try to plant things that I know I can't just buy at the store. I think there's really something cool about that because it seems real easy to quit in gardening when you're planting just everyday food that you could go buy at your local grocery. It's like, why would you take the time to go to the trouble to plant? So on days when you want to quit, it helps to have really cool varieties of stuff that you know you can't just go pick up elsewhere. You might be wondering why I did this this way with my tomatoes. Like, Candace, why didn't you just plant 15 seeds in 15 different cups instead of doing it this way? I think I was curious to see how this would work. I figured, you know, you're gonna do the work. Do I want to do it on the front end or the back end? And I don't know, there's something really therapeutic to me about what I'm doing right now, getting my hands dirty, sitting outside. It's quiet. You know, I enjoy this. So you don't have to do it this way. I could have planted my tomatoes 1 seed per cup. And you know, the only downside to that is if you don't get germination, then you have to make a decision. Are you just gonna go back and put another seed in there? Are you gonna keep waiting? Which there's nothing wrong with that, but I figured sprinkling a whole bunch on the top and just seeing what comes up, and now I'm transplanting what germinated. It's working out. And I've been told you can do this with other things. I'm thinking about trying it with my peppers and lettuce because I did plant 2 or 3 seeds in each of my containers, and a lot of them had 100% germination. So I'm thinking about trying it out with those also. This variety that I am potting up now is Roma tomato. I'm sure you've heard of that, and yes, that's definitely something you can buy at the store. Pro tip about tomatoes: you want to know if your tomato variety is determinate or indeterminate. Determinate means it's going to produce a crop, a fruit, once in the season. Indeterminate means it's going to do it many, many times, right? So Roma is, I think, the only variety, and I haven't confirmed on a lot of these new varieties I've added this year, so actually don't hold me to that, but I know Roma's determinate. But Romas are excellent for like making canned tomatoes. If you're gonna stew them and can them or make any kind of tomato sauce, they're really good for that. Well, I got all but 4 varieties of tomatoes repotted and rearranged my shelves here. I think I need some more grow lights. I think this is it for today. I am tired. So thanks for watching. Happy gardening. I hope you learned something from this. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. God bless you and have a beautiful day.